First, my mother's January 2023 NDE story. After that, she died on July 7, 2023. I'm including my NDEs because they relate to my mother's tale. I'll briefly discuss them, but write about them separately. This is crucial since my mother always thought my encounter was a dream, caused by surgery and anesthesia, or anything else. She doubted the near-death experience my whole life since she had no proof. After her NDE, she told me she now understood what I was saying about God and love most of my life. This caused conflict after 50 years of her ignoring my experiences, stating I simply remembered them and that my near-death did not show they were true. When she unexpectedly had one at 82, she understood what occurred to me as a child and was delighted to tell me how real it was. My stories are relevant because of this. She stated she spent too much time dubbing me. It made me laugh. Although somewhat religious, my mother remained suspicious of God for most of her life. I frequently wondered why she went to church and studied religions if she didn't believe in them. She thought that was the ideal location to find God. I couldn't dispute that logic. She studied many religions to find life solutions. I guess my mom felt unloved due to her rough existence. This essay ends with my mother's complete obituary so you can learn more about her life and views. She probably pondered why life is so hard, like me. He might not have designed mankind to endure as she did. Thus she questioned God and his existence because of her and others' suffering. Her abuse was so bad that she opened multiple Arizona battered women's shelters. Her life and achievements are covered below. To help other ladies not suffer like she did, she trained me my whole life to serve others. She instinctively realized her purpose. We believe she doubted God for many more reasons. She was scientific. Her mother was Christian Scientist. My mother, a colonel's daughter, was a no-nonsense person who needed proof before believing. I think we all have God questions like my mother's. I believe faith takes us back to life's fundamental meaning and purpose, which leads to love and God. We probably talked about life's meaning the most over the years. I thought helping her find God would relieve her depression and maybe make her feel unconditionally loved. She never had this until her final year. After her near-death experience, she no longer feared death and knew she was loved. The tale is remarkable. My mother's NDE was more astounding than my own near-death experiences. I've always believed in heaven because I died at 6 or 7. I had adenoids removed. I excited my body due to a high temperature. After giving me anesthetic, they canceled the procedure owing to fever. My mom said my high fever caused a severe reaction. Mom and the doctors worried I would die from my illness. Afterward, I told my mom about it. I told her I was sitting on my grandfather's lap and playing with his white beard. He was amazing. I felt cherished and safe. However, my only living grandfather entered the hospital the following day. He had no beard, which upset me. I wondered what happened to my white-bearded grandpa, mother, grandparents, and my strong recollection tell this story. We were close, and my mother and grandfather were confused because he never had a beard. My beard confusion reflected what occurred to me. Floating over my cage/children's hospital bed, I remembered. I saw my body writhing on the mattress. I may not have realized it was me. Because I was 6 or 7, I slept in a crib. I hated being in there telling everyone I had a big girl bed at home before my surgery and didn't need a crib. After leaving my body, I saw the crib and myself from above. It was a metal cage and I was writhing in it. I told my mom about this thereafter. I told her I saw the maid at our house and that she was watching my brothers and sister while my mother took care of me. Never met this African-American woman, but I knew she looked after my siblings. I saw her at the house with them. I felt like I was in two places. Since I had never seen this woman, my mom asked how I knew. Betty Eadie's book about near-death experiences convinced me years later that I experienced one. I realized that happened to me as a child. I had no context until I read this book. There was a aha moment. My second near-death experience occurred when I was electrocuted while unplugging a pool pump at 12. When I was visiting my best friend's place, the pool pump went crazy. We might get in trouble, so I got out of the pool and unplugged it. I stood in a puddle. I was electrocuted instantly. I instantly excited my body and rose high over the homes. It was clear down Lewis Street to my house. I saw the streetlight where we played hide and seek every night. I spotted all the pigeon crap on my friend's roof. After a flash of light, I felt like someone ripped the wire from my grasp and shoved me backward. It felt like an explosion outside me, not like electricity. I had no one outside the pool to help me. Jerk occurred. A minor severe burn on my hand. I lay on my back on the grass away from the enormous puddle of water I was standing in during the electrocution. I was awake yet surprised and afraid. I was worried about getting in trouble, not the experience. After this, I felt I was in danger and hurried home to tell my mom how I died. My electrician father was furious. This was summer 1972. I couldn't play at her house anymore. Everyone in the neighborhood was surprised I survived. I've had this happen twice in my life. My faith in God, heaven, and angels was unwavering before this electrocution. Was Catholic upbringing, but I never accepted all I learned. My adenoids made me sensitive to everything. I found that challenging. I had no idea what happened or why I felt different. But now I tell everyone, my faith is love. I don't follow organized religion. My mother and I often debated God's existence, whether he exists, and whether we go to paradise. Her strong doubts prevented her from believing that. She hoped that was real. We must maintain hope. I'll write about these NDEs, although they weren't as deep as my mother's or other NDEs. Simply said, saw no tunnel. Nobody showed me heaven, but I think the bearded figure was God, an angel, or my unseen grandfather. Near death, I sat on his lap. This concludes my NDE experiences. Remember these profound, life-changing, weird, and true encounters. After my first NDE, soon after I had my adenoids removed, I could sense things, was very perceptive as a child, and felt like I could hear people thinking and feeling, which made me want to avoid everyone. I always felt God watching me and never wanted to get in trouble. I also thought God could see me go to the bathroom, which was odd as a kid. I felt like the cosmos was watching me, talking to me, and telling me things I shouldn't know, protecting me. I focused on this. How could I not? It was hard not to notice the feelings I heard that weren't mine. I never felt alone. Always sensed God's love. After my childhood NDE, I gained a peculiar intuition that kept me alive. But that's another story. My mother accomplished great things on earth. As creator of Arizona's Chrysalis Shelter for Battered Women, she helped hundreds of women and children. I am proud of her legacy and her desire of assisting as many people as possible. Beyond decades of community service, her shelter continues to aid individuals beyond death. Our presentations always conclude that aiding others and lighting their road lights our journey. This always produces magic. Together, we believed we were born to help everyone on earth. Like a drop in the sea, helping one person helps millions. I learned this from her as an adult. She stated life is about helping others. However, her lack of confidence in God and heaven kept her depressed for most of her life. She stated she felt unworthy and that God might not love or forgive her for her transgressions. I don't know my mom's crimes, but she always felt like a bad mother. I kept reminding her that she was a child when she had us 4. My father killed 2 full-term babies after she was pregnant for 4 years. My alcoholic father beat and abused her and us over the years. She lost 2 full-term babies due to this. I was 12 when he was forced out. The day my mother divorced, I'll never forget the violence. My father, furious, snatched her up and flung her over a railing and shrubs into the mud and rain. I'll never forget her eyes and expression of courage and resolve as he packed his belongings in wrath and departed in the rain. My mother cleaned herself after he went, and she was thrown into the mud. She laughed and danced, saying she was glad he went. We prepared popcorn and watched rain through the window. It poured all afternoon, but everyone was pleased. That day was unforgettable. I still love popcorn and rain. It brings back the feeling of being free from my father that day. Anyway, I'm not digressing. I'm discussing her journey. I wanted you to know my mom's perspective before reading her NDE. Joy, my mother, described the angels following a tough surgery months before her 82nd birthday. She broke her knee in a fall and needed a replacement. She has serious heart issues. She may not survive the surgery, but she would die from infection and sepsis without it, which would have been horrific. The surgery was long and difficult. She was delighted to tell me about the angels and her trip to paradise despite being exhausted after surgery. She described a paradise of love and no negativity. She stated she skipped above the universe with a small girl she eventually identified as an angel. She initially doubted it was an angel, then remarked, "But of course, it was an angel. It was so simple." She then acted stupid for doubting it. She also mentioned it was a familiar angel that resembled me. The event thrilled her. She was eager to tell me because she knew she was in heaven. Usually, she never told me this. She finally understood what I knew, and we could share it. Having her doubt this stuff my whole life has been hard. She did not fathom God's love for us, but I could feel it even as a little child and knew there was more to love, God, and heaven than what they taught us in church. Mom told me more about paradise. She added the human-like angels were working to solve the world's issues. She said this project kept everyone busy and prevented fighting. Complete unity, justice, and understanding prevailed. Most importantly, she felt loved, accepted, and included in this utopia, and part of everything. She never experienced this on Earth. She said she was mostly a spectator, but felt included. She often felt abandoned or unloved. At the end of this event, she informed me the angels unwrapped my heart, myself, her daughter Kathy, and showed her how much I loved her. Angels told her, "See how much Kathy loves you." I found this remarkable considering she had major surgery just before. I loved her completely, and the angels showed her this months before she died. My mother spoke the most wonderful, insightful thing to me. It felt weird coming from her. I wondered if angels knew my name. This broke my heart and made me cry. She stated she visited the most gorgeous area. Mom saw how green everything was and compared it to Washington, D.C., where she grew up. Her instinct told her it wasn't on Earth. Mom claimed it looked like a vast park with undulating hills, trees, and bright, waving flowers of many colors. Everything was alive, she remarked. She saw and heard kids playing. She claimed everything was pleasant, joyful, and sunny. Joy stated everything was in sync here, because Earth isn't like that. She thought she was in heaven. She added that Earth and its chaos don't feel as real as paradise. Took notes as she spoke so I could remember what she said in these spiritual moments. She said she could feel her deceased loved ones, but not see them. Her anxious heart was soothed by this unusual encounter. The most astounding thing my mother ever told me was about her NDE. Her story spanned hours and days. She had a vast, clear memory. She tried to inform me after surgery, but her words were muddled. I understood she was excited and happy, and saw heaven and angels, but was unable to express it. She described her experience to me clearly after several hours and days of sedation. The angels told her and showed her my very genuine unconditional love for her, so she no longer feared life or death or doubted my love. Her incredible encounter was all she could talk about. I've always believed in God and heaven, so she was excited. She told me she knew I loved her a lot but had no idea how lovely my pure love would be. She couldn't describe what they showed her. It amazed her what she felt and saw with her soul. As mentioned, Mother and I often debated God's existence and whether we go to paradise. Before her surgery and NDE, she was hopeful but didn't believe it all. Saw what she told me as a miracle, a divine communication, that God and the angels know and love our love, and that angels know our names. God and the universe know and love everyone on earth. While reading this amazing narrative, realized that my mother always felt unloved and unwanted, not by her parents but by the world. People mistreated her since she was almost 300 pounds throughout most of my life. She was abused by my alcoholic father and had 6 pregnancies at 16. She had low self-esteem and struggled as a mother because she was a child. Her depression and suicidal thoughts led her to assume no one loved her. She didn't think God loved her. She didn't think anyone loved her. She probably knew I and my siblings loved her like their mothers. She felt rejected by society. Doubt anyone loved her really unconditionally. I wanted her to know I loved her. Before her angel experience, it never penetrated. After her experience, her eyes sparkled with love and dread was gone. She knew heaven from seeing it. Her account was heartwarming and real. It also sounded like something an angel would say and do to prove their devotion. It felt weird coming from her. I loved her completely, and the angels showed her before she died. Again, my mother said the most lovely, deep thing to me. She stated she visited the most beautiful spot she had ever seen and felt it was heaven. This made me happy for her. Many months and procedures later, Mom died a week after a big stroke. She had trouble speaking and was confused after the stroke. Some days before her death, she became conscious. She sang a few lines of Beautiful Dreamer. I didn't know the lyrics. After she sung, she said she thought she was going to paradise soon. Mom touched heaven and showed us. Mother was skeptical of afterlife. She altered her lifelong belief after this angel experience. It was lovely to watch her heart soften after this encounter. Mom's life and death anxieties vanished like she knew what was coming. All future things will be lovely. I saw this and affection in her eyes as she left this planet. Mom often thought paradise was indescribably lovely. We find consolation in thinking of her with her 30-year-old husband, daughter, parents, and other loved ones as she skips around the universe with the angels. We love her and cherish our memories. Today's experience concludes. Please remark below as always. Until next time, be safe and blessed.